Hello, and welcome along to session 26 session 26 of Beldania.
No, who knows?
Who knew? A long time. We recapped briefly out of session. We'll recap it. The party have made their way to the Eurex Confederacy. Rubbish. That's a different campaign. Eurex State. In the Eurex State, they had basically made an agreement with one friend, Xandrak Sweetvoice. Xandrak Sweetvoice, working for the Velvet Glove, has convinced them to jump on a boat with him and go exploring the coastlines and visiting lots of towns and doing some cool stuff. So that's what they're going to be doing. Today, I have playing with me, Josh.
Hi, I'm Josh. I will be playing Sebastian Belmont, the human turned housecar abjuration wizard.
I have Joe.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm playing Hennick Littlefield, the halfling farmer and bard, and probably the only character whose voice I can go into without any preparation over the past month.
I have Bruno.
I'm playing Alessio McPherson, your friendly neighborhood resident Battlemaster fighter.
And I have Rico.
Hey, I'm Rico. I'm playing Torn Goldenbrand, the Dragonborn Paladin.
I haven't thought of an interesting way for Jamal to have died. I usually get him, hit by a speedboat, freight train, other interesting ways. I don't know. He was consumed in a dark, swirling hole that dragged him down into the abyss. He might be back next week. We'll do our best to care. And with further ado, so we left off in the Eurex State Hub. And you were given sort of an eve and a morn, as they call it, to prepare before setting sail on the boat. Obviously, the boat actually will wait as long as you need it to, but realistically, it is the plan was to set off in the morning. Was there anything that anyone need do before the morning?
Just in the morning, I'd like to cast Mage Armor.
Awesome. That will last you 24 hours. And at that stage of life.
Heck yeah.
I'm assuming Kiavo might as well, but I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, go on, roll for me. Give me an 8. 8. Give me an 8, yes. Give me a D8.
Give you a 6.
Yeah. Yeah, roll me a D8. Let's see where he's at.
I got a 6.
Oh, right, sorry. Yeah, I done a different way. Cool. So, yeah, his is lasting 16 hours now. So, yeah, well, he's doubled up on the time.
Jesus.
One particular preparation that will need to be done is, Hennick, in the morning, you will need to go and get Black Radish from the stables, and then stable him aboard the ship and comfort him to be able to do so. I believe,
of course.
Also, you were headed to the Guild of Mages to shrink Alessio's horse. Did you want to attempt to shrink poor Black Radish, or was he quite happy being the size?
I mean, I think if there's size at all for him on the ship, he would. I would want him to stay in normal donkey size.
Yeah, cool. There is this image actually depicts it quite well. There's a sort of undercarriage area that goes just under the deck. But it's fairly open. It's 9 or 10 foot tall, and it's quite wide. And there is a sort of I want to call it wire, but that's not the right word.
Like a railing, a guard.
Yeah, it's a fence made of sort of latticed reeds, so that it's got holes in it. But the donkey ain't getting through it. It's all that matters.
He won't even try. He's a very well behaved donkey.
He is, but when the boat starts rocking.
Yeah.
So in this area is where you would prop him, and there's space for the cart to be so there are rings in the deck of the ship in this area where you can tie the wheels individually to the rings, which will hold it in place. He will also be tied to a ring on the ship, but with a
tether.
Yes, a tether, a lead, a thing. A loose. The point is, it's loose. It allows him to walk around freely. but not, bolt through the fence.
Yeah.
But yes, you will need to go and get Black Radish and stable him, and don't even think about it. I see you sneaking in the side right. Just Josh misbehaving with his token as per usual. Just can't keep still.
I'm just trying to get on the boat.
Yeah, well, you can stay on dock until I tell you otherwise. But yes, apart from getting Black Radish on, the exercise of shrinking Alessio's... What is Alessio's horse called? Have a name?
His name is Mercury.
Mercury. Nice, like that. Good name for a horse, that. Rico doesn't like it. He's out. Yeah, so Mercury is going to find this quite disconcerting. But he'll be the 6-inch horse. And they will give you what is... it looks like a horseshoe, but it has magical runes all the way along it. It is the spell is stored within this horseshoe multiple times. So when you reactivate Mercury and he becomes large, which they will do activation phase to do so.
6-inch horse, that's what they call me on Grinder.
Wow. You put that down, boy. Okay. If you are on Grinder, then divorce papers, please, on my desk. Watch you. Anyway.
Oh my god, 6-inch horse.
Anyway, back to the point. You can reactivate the spell by placing the horseshoe on Mercury, and it will fall off naturally when he shrinks down. I'm doing my best to ignore this debacle. Regardless, Alessio, once you've got a small horse, what are you going to do with it?
I'm going to carefully place it within my most treasured pouch, and I'm gonna poke some little holes in the pouch so that the horse can see the outside world while traveling.
Hey, that is far less humane than I thought you were going to go. I thought it was going to be like tethered freely on the deck next to Black Radish, but in little form with a little piece of string.
How
sit
big
in the
is
fucking
a 6-inch
pouch.
horse?
It's 6 inches long.
I'm imagining it like this big.
Yeah. 6 inches long, it's like that. But you can.
Yeah, so he
could still go walkies, just little walkies.
All right, fine. He shall be set free.
He can be tethered with a piece of
I
string.
will not imprison Mercury today.
Yeah, he's got his own little fenced-out area, so the Black Radish doesn't accidentally stand on him. Or potentially, I don't think donkeys eat meat, but if they did, that's the right size for a snack. Yeah. Any other preparations that you guys might wish to make? Especially in regards to anything you might be doing on the boat. I mean, this is going to be a lot of traveling, right? And you need things to keep you occupied. There is a line.
We're not expected to have like rations or anything for ourselves.
No. There's a
for
chef
the journey, right? Like, okay.
There's a chef, and they've provided well for the journey. But there's a library in town, in the city, as well as various temple libraries. There are lots of sort of craft shops and stuff where you can stop by and buy a coloring book. No, craft shops where you can buy things for crafting as well.
I shall. I wish to go to a shop that sells instruments.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So there's 2 stores of the like. There's one small place which is outside the walls of New York City State, and it's near one of the little inns. And this store sells sort of tuppenny whistles and sort of what are they called? Harmonicas. And sea pipes and accordions and those sort of, they're very much like the instruments of the seafarers. Most of them are small enough, or can at least fold small enough, they can be easily packed. Alternatively, you can head into town to the larger instrument shop. You can buy something obtuse, like a war gong or a lyre.
There shall be no need for such.
Okay.
I will approach the counter.
In the small
Hello,
shop.
good man.
In the small
Woman.
shop.
Yes.
Yes,
In the
great.
small shop.
You're greeted by a satyr. He is quite lively and animated and looks at you and, oh, hello, customers. What can I do?
Yes, well met. I have come today to purchase 4 bells. 4 tiny bells.
4 tiny bells? 4 tiny bells.
Yes.
Tiny
that I may
bells,
wrap
bells.
around
4.
my wrists and my ankles.
Oh, well, yes. Why? I'm sure we can have that arranged. He
Thank
sort
you.
of looks at some bells that looks like they might be for preparing a set of like jangle bells that, and he instead separates them out, puts each one on an individual strap. And, would this suffice?
Yes, this will be perfect, good man. How much shall this be?
Excellent. Sell the piece.
Very well. I slam it on the counter.
Oh, thank you. And he'll sort of flip it up in the air, and then it just
Thank
vanishes.
you, kind sir. Have yourself a good day.
And
if
you,
don't
and you.
mind,
Safe travels.
And I shall take my leave. Back to the boat.
I love the way that I've been like, you need to occupy yourself a month. When I was like, oh, that's the only 4 bells.
Oh, little do
bells.
you know the plot arc that is coming. Just you wait.
Is he becoming a Morris dancer? Because I'm accepting of that. I've just realized that these Americans have no idea.
I could tell it was a British thing I didn't know, if that helps.
Yeah, they're ridiculous people. Honestly, your homework today is to go to YouTube and watch them. They
It's
sort of
basically where there's like a pole that has ribbons coming off of it. That is right.
they can do that with a maypole, but that's not traditionally what they do. No, they dress up in an outfit with bells at their hands and their wrists, and they clap and they sing and they dance in really silly ways, and they dress up like they're from the 1600s.
But they also have a pole with ribbons coming off of it,
That's a
and each
maypole.
person has a ribbon, and they dance around the pole.
I'm sure Morris dancers have at some point done the maypole dance, but it isn't a Morris. Anyway, your homework's to look up Morris dances. It's kind of cool and also really weird and sad.
Because you're gonna need the knowledge.
You'll be glad for the knowledge for the rest of your life. Anyway, in the
Okay,
meantime,
searching pole dancing.
Yeah. English pole dancing.
Yeah.
no, it's got nothing to do with poles. God damn it!
Imagine you flew into the UK, you're like, I want to go see some pole dancing. You show up to a Morris dance, and you're like, this isn't what I expected
No,
to
it
see.
is not what you expect.
But
to
it's
see.
what I needed.
Anyway, that aside, Alessio has 4 bells to occupy him for the next few months. Does anybody want anything?
So Torin wants to purchase a book for himself to read that he most likely will never end up actually reading, but the thought of having a
could
book
be
on a
useful.
long journey is...
So there are a few things that might be, in fact, useful. If you mention that you're going traveling. There is the Atlas of Endless Horizons, the non-magical version, which tells tales of the lands far and wide. It tells of the weird things that you probably don't care about, like rock formations and the different constellations in the sky at the time. But it could be useful. There's also a survivor's guide to each different country. And that's much more about the animals that can be hunted, the wild game you might find, the monsters you might find up in the mountains. And reading this will give you advantage on all survival checks within that country to discern such things on the trail. So that could actually be useful. And finally, there's the great big book of bawdy jokes. I don't know. Maybe might complement your arsenal of books. I think it's fair to say Piavo will take the first book, the boring version of rock formations and constellations.
I should like to purchase this this survival book and perhaps another book for more leisure. Something of a heroic tale, perhaps with some pictures.
Like tale. We've got A Kiss, Sweet Mother. Or we have what else do we have? I'm trying to think of my Skyrim books. Confessions of a Dunma Skooma Eater. Honestly, those are the only 2 books I can think of.
I'll take a kiss.
The Argonian Maid. The only 3 books that would come to mind right now.
I'll take A Kiss, Sweet Mother.
Yeah, cool. Learn about the dark practices of summoning the Night Mother to arrange a murder. No, honestly, you can find the book Olaf and the Dragon, which is a great tale of Olaf and the dragon. Olaf hunted the dragon for many, many years, only in the end to make. There you go. I spoiled the ending, but have it anyway.
Perfect. I'll take all 3 books.
Yeah, well, bear in mind the Survivor's Guide is in fact a collection of 8 books, and that'll cost you 6 copper.
Yeah.
Well, by all means.
Pocket change. Pocket change.
Yep. What's your name, little cat? Sebastian, is there anything that you wish to be doing in preparation for the journey? Anything you wish to garner in preparation?
Well, do I still have my parents' teapot? Do I still have that?
I think you tried to convince me to let you sell it, and I said no.
No, I wouldn't have sold it. I might have tried to give it back to my parents, but I wouldn't have sold it.
Maybe that was what it was, but no. Yes, you do. I think if it's in your inventory. If it's not, then you don't have it.
It is in my inventory.
Well, then you still have it.
Oh, okay. Well, since it's going to be a long journey, I will take the time to brew some teas for everyone.
Okay.
So I'll want to pick up. The only thing I've got is honey at the moment to put in tea. So
great. If you drop by the herbalist shop, this is the herbalist for more sort of edible things. Give me a second. Wait for it to load. You'll be able to pick yourself up a niece. Oh, it's quite a list here.
A niece? I'm an only child. I don't have a niece or a nephew. But it.
Oh, what am I gonna do with you? Chamomile, cinnamon, clove.
That was pretty good though, Josh. I'll give you that one.
Eucalyptus, jasmine, ginger, rose hip, Arian. If you are willing to pay an extra couple of copper pieces, you will also get a student's guide to classic teas. Oh, sorry, you can also grab some mint like this. If you type ing like this, you'll be able to just add them one by one. They'll all come up. Yeah.
How much altogether?
So altogether, that's going to cost you 3 silver pieces.
I want to haggle.
Okay. How are you haggling? This is a sort of older lady. She's in her 40s, but she appears quite well preserved. She's got very leathery skin and dark grey slanty eyes, and she says to you, 3 silver, child.
Oh, an old woman like this probably loves cats. She needs to make a wisdom save.
Oh, that's a nice way of haggling. Just make a saving throw.
Yeah.
I suggest you pay me instead.
Adorable-est cat. I'm gonna be like, are you sure it's not 1 silver? Does it disadvantage if she likes cats?
She loves cats, which is a shame because that was a nat 20. That is 11, 15. A fail.
It's my. I think it's my spell DC.
Quite probably.
That is my spell DC.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
She'll look at you as you're adorable there, having failed the saving throw, and well, you are very cute. About 2 silver 6.
How about 1 silver 2?
How about 2 silver 6?
2 silver 5.
No.
Deal.
Yeah, 2 silver 5 copper. I have no idea why you needed to haggle over 5 coppers from an old lady in a tea shop, but if it makes you happy, then be my guest. Yeah, and you've got yourself the student's guide to making tea. She would have signed the book, but you stole her money.
She didn't write it.
She probably didn't.
Yeah.
Who signed it anyway. Anyhow, with that done, Joe, Hennick, is there anything that you would like?
Hennick is just making sure that, especially with someone else to possibly do the cooking a lot, he wants to maybe one day get reasonably competent at anything jewelry related. So he's just making sure he has a selection of rocks that he will just grab from the world. He doesn't want to go back into the big city if he doesn't have to. We can stay out here by the docks.
Yeah, there's plenty of little
happy to
stalls
do
by the
that,
docks as well. So it's fair to say that Torrens probably picked up a fair bit of Leather for some leather working on the journey. So he'll.
Yeah,
well,
well, I have some cord from a long time ago too.
I have like hides and stuff that I haven't
Yeah.
even worked on.
Yeah, but you can't.
Did we pick up the studs?
Yes,
Yeah?
you did. You did. And that was done the night before. If you wish to trade the hides for leather, you won't be able to tan them on the boat.
Yeah, I
So
figured.
if you just wish to make a straight trade, I think it's
Yeah.
cured leather. It might just be leather for leather work.
Yeah,
I might
okay.
call it
I
cured.
have 1, 2, 3 unrefined hides.
So an unrefined hide will give you 6 pieces of leather.
A single one.
Yeah. So that's 18 pieces of leather if you wish to
Yeah.
trade all 3, or 12 if you wish to.
Unrefined fur.
That would make fur, not leather.
Yeah, just like a fur thing, right? Okay.
Yeah, so you can keep that yourself. It would normally be a weaver or a tailor, but this is for making sort of fur collars, fur hoods, inlays for coats, those sorts of things, jerkins. But you can always just lob it over your bed and keep you warm in the winter night. In the meantime.
Henning, do you find that you get cold? Would you like me to line this little armor of yours?
Let's remind you, you're headed through the desert to get to Beldania.
It gets cold. It gets cold at night. I've heard.
Yeah.
Says this survival guide.
Oh, it most definitely does. Halion gets free.
Well, now my almanac here says where we're headed is going to be pretty warm, and in fact, I've still got that heavy fur from the folk up in the mountains, that barbarian tribe, and I think I do just fine.
Fair enough.
You're stuck with that fur, I'm afraid, Turin.
Make it a little too fancy, I think.
I've also got a bunch of horn, tooth, and bone. Maybe I can trade that up for something.
You could, but honestly, it's not going to trade for anything as useful as itself.
Yeah, okay.
So they can be used in alchemy. They can also be used in the crafting of stuff. Perhaps even Hennick might use some of the ivory.
Yeah, we'll use them for grinding down and yeah.
Or even just as jewelry pieces. Little bits of bone jewelry and such. But yes, Hennick, one thing that might take your interest as you're going down to the dock is that there is a sort of, we can't see it because it's bottom left, but there's a sort of crabbing beach. And obviously, whilst crabs are cool and everything, what's more interesting is there's lots of unusual pebbles and shells and such down at the beach. You grab a few things down there. You can pick up a few unusual rocks and shells.
I will absolutely do so.
Give me a perception check while you do, though, because I want to see if you spot something.
Okay. 8.
No, the mud crab that has 10,000 gold to spend. You missed him.
Alright, well.
Niche reference, isn't it? But never mind. Yeah, regardless, you're able to at least pick up some really interesting shells and such. And in fact, seeing you doing this, Phoebe sort of comes down to walk barefoot upon the rocks near you. She doesn't say anything. She picks up a couple of flat rocks and begins skimming them out to sea. After a little while of you wandering around, turns to you and long way from home, right?
Yeah, farther than I've been much.
Unusual to see more of my kind traveling far and wide. Especially when you're not a green pony, or at least you don't look the type.
No, I've availed myself of their services once in a while, but definitely not something I've done myself. It wasn't what I expected to be doing, that's for sure. But you, a captain of a boat, you must travel some fair bit.
Traded for the world. It's been a wonderful life. By accident.
My parents run riverboats up and down through Corman, but mostly left me in town, not running up and down the river. Raised by the folk, but yeah, it never quite appealed to me. But I'm sure it's a fine vessel.
By the trade, I was first on a boat when I was 4 years old. Grew up on a boat. Long way to the east in Cologne. Coast of Cologne, to be specific. First, I didn't ply the trade of the sea by choice. Then there was a classic mutiny, as you would, and I found myself somewhat in charge of some of the smaller crews who love the life on the sea. An interesting collection of people. part of the crew.
Well, I mean, I do some fishing from time to time. I do respect the way in which the water, although for me it's usually a river or the like, but the sea, I imagine as well, certainly provides for people the same way the land does.
I bet it does. Been told you've got great skill with people too.
Well, so I've been told as well. I usually think of myself more as a listener, but it seems people have been trying to listen to me a bit lately.
Rare to find somebody truly a good listener. Difficult time for us. Trading as merchants, making fewer stops. Appreciate it if you could go amongst the crew and I won't lie to you. Having the ship commissioned for your benefit, traveling for your benefit. To put a few of the crew members a little on edge. Perhaps getting to know you might placate them. They're good folk.
Well, wasn't something we requested. If this is going to put your folk out, we don't want to do that.
No, my husband requested it, and I'm more than happy, and the decision has been made. But I'm just saying that go a long way. Speaking to them and listening.
Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty of time for it.
But there will. There's always time on a boat. Thanks.
Yeah, of course, of course. Anything in particular you notice, you let me know, and I'll have a chat with people.
And with that, she smiles and skips back over the stones. She skims a couple of rocks on her way out. It's not very good. And then, yeah. heads back.
I wouldn't boast. I would probably not even do it while she's
Don't
around.
show her up. Don't show her up. She can't be having that. You've already commissioned their crew. So just to clarify, it's not necessarily like they're used to long journeys at sea, and they're very much like in agreement. And you get the impression that maybe for the last 6 months, Phoebe's been sailing for Sweet Voice. Anyway, for some of these people who are further from home, I mean, she did mention her crew's originally from Kalan, which is across an ocean.
Right.
Maybe it's been a long time since they've seen home, basically. Getting it. But anyway, with that prepped, we can, unless anybody has any complaints, we'll board the boat. So, as you will find... Done with you. I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Do you know what? As you all board the boat, you get amazed.
Trying to have my Titanic moment.
You get amazed, but the entire sail seems to be decorated with Sebastian's face.
And that's the stern.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the back of the. Yeah, that's the stern.
Oh!
You're a
Look
Titanic
what you've done
loser.
now!
Oh.
Yes, anyway. As you board the boat. That's what I was getting. I wish there was a mode where I could just disable tokens for certain images. Yes, you are able to... sorry, please do that. I don't know what I've done. I've shown Sebastian to players. Entirely not what I was going for. Going for a roll 20 switch. There we go. What? Okay, bear with me a second.
Do I have time to use the little boys' room?
Yes.
Okay, I will be right back.
I have
Carry on. Carry
I
on.
have no idea how to fix this. Like that, apparently. Bear with. Open my tabs again. That's so annoying. Who's capturing it? Need my little notes. Nice boat. Lovely boat.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think in the process of tending to getting the animals settled there and stuff, I would probably say something to Alessio. and just sort of with his tiny little horse in there, sort of stabled. It's been like, well, that's an unusual charm there. Unless you, it's rare I see a beast of burden too small for me to ride.
He may be small in size, but he's huge in heart, Torrent. Wait, no, you're not Torrent. Hennick.
It's a bit early to be drinking, isn't it?
Yeah, what exactly did you stock up on before we launched there?
You know I like my booze.
You seem to be jingling a bit as well. I don't know what that's all about, but
No, I'm joking. I'm actually not drunk, Hennick. But yes, I am indeed jingling. And I will quickly turn around, shuffle, tie the little belts to my hands, like to my feet, and I'll jump back around like in a star shape. Yes! For that I will also learn how to be a performer.
that's
And I'll jingle.
that's very jingly.
Yes. I remember back when I was in the circus as a child, they would put these small bells around me and ask me to run around the arena. They'd put the bear chasing me, so it would add to the drama and, the whole situation. The bear would never eat me. We're actually great friends. Just go on adventures out into town. It was also my only friend.
But you've left him behind, I guess.
Yes.
We don't have a miniature bear around here somewhere, do we?
No, the bear passed away after being murdered by those filthy orcs.
I see. Well then, so the bells aren't entirely a new development, something from your past. But are you planning to just sort of run with them, or?
Allow me to show you, Hennig, and I will do a backflip. Can I roll acrobatics?
I was trying to tell you to give me an acrobatics check, but I had my mic muted because I was too busy laughing at those filthy orcs and their bear slaying habits.
It's a 17!
Yeah, you'd have on your feet.
Ta-da!
That's mighty impressive on the moving deck of a ship.
Thank you.
Speaking of which,
And-
I will
the
be
bell-
training.
sorry, go on.
Bells really accentuate it. That's.
Speaking of which, have you all been on a boat? Big boat?
Never.
Probably.
Never on a seafaring vessel.
Anyone?
Yeah, I feel like probably more on like river barge type stuff, but
Yeah,
not like
if
a
that,
big
yeah.
sailed vessel.
So at the moment we are going to be river barging. So I suppose I should have updated the donkey to be a boat. I didn't think about that. Oh well. So we're here. That is real coincidence. I don't know how I've done that. Bear with me a second. There we go. Fantastic. Yeah, you are actually, in fact, about to take sail onto the Great Lake. You'll be headed. Well, you're given a choice, actually. There are 3 options, I guess. The first option is to head to the north, which will take you through Alana, and you'll see the problems that Alana, specifically the Tabaxi lands up near Jorek, have been having. And then you'll make your way around the northern coast, where you could stop at Way of the Path number 13, perhaps even Way of the Path number 9 as well, if you wish. And then make your way over to the Veralian River, and down over to there. You could make your way through the country of Gazellen. The river that moves up here, you can't actually see it, but it comes back down from the Colabar Mountains out to the east. Again, stopping by perhaps 23 and 8. Or you can head down south, see what's happening in Halion, in the deserts, and make your way up the coast, which would take you quite near to the homeland that Piavo has never seen, Mimna Korek, and then you would arrive up at the south of Coralia. So basically, you've got those 3 rivers going out to the east, north, and south. The suggested path was out to the south, but it's actually completely up to you guys. If I put you,
If we go to the south, like near the desert, and then back up, we can hit a bunch of way of the paths. If
Well,
that's
you
what
will
we
hit
want.
two whichever way you go.
Yeah, but if we go south, we'll hit 4, 5.
What? You can't.
Well,
Well, they're
Okay.
pretty far
you
away from
can't
the water.
travel across the deserts in these two. You would
Oh,
hit,
can't we like
you
stop
would
this
hit
shit?
12 and 14.
The ones close to the water are 9, 13, maybe 16. Although even 16 looks a little bit
16
inland.
is inland. You'd hit 9 and 13 going north. You'd hit 12 and 14 going south, and you'd
And
hit and you'd hit 23, and that's it going east. Whichever way you go, you will hit 8, because 8 is pretty close to the gates to Moralia.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I may have missed it, James. There's 2 little red marks between
Those are the
Gazellen
gates
and
to Moralia.
Moralia. Got you.
I don't know if I have an image of it. Yeah.
It's like
No, I
a
hadn't prepared it now. So yeah, you know that it's a big gate. You'll find out more when you get there. You're told it's an incredible sight,
interesting.
and you will see that whichever way you go. Yeah, the suggested path was south purely because the problems in Halion are happening sort of by the coast, so you'd be able to see them, and potentially also possibly see the problems in southern Moralia, which is where you were told there was things going on, land rising up. But if you wish to go north and see the Tabaxi and Nomish lands instead, or east and only see the Nomish mountains.
I mean, I think it would be cool to go take Kiavo to his homeland.
What is Cavo's deal with his homeland? I wish he was here to ask him about it.
Kiavo doesn't know anything about his homeland. He's heard rumors that there is an island off the east coast of Halion where he was born and where he lived, where the Leonins do in fact have magic. But no Halion-born Leonin has magic.
Is that the place that is sacred to Dragonborn? Isn't there somewhere in Halion that is sort of like a sacred, Yeah. I remember you telling me or reading somewhere.
So these ancient sites, here and here, they're not just sacred to Dragonborn, they're sacred to Dragonborns and Leonins and various other races through history, for different reasons, and different races lay different claim to these ancient monoliths being part of their heritage. They're who's telling the truth, but they definitely look like they were made by dragons. But again, they're quite. You'll be able to see the one on the here, but they're quite a distance from the. Obviously, if you wish to make stops and head inland, the desert is the least hospitable of all the places.
True.
In a desert. And there are no towns and cities in Halion other than Ulsmere and Ilvercornis. Ilvercornis is sort of non-Leonin. It's sort of a bunch of travelers, basically. And Ulsmere to the very south is the only real Leonin gathering place. They mostly gather at the Oasis, but they're nomadic folks, so they travel all the country. It'll certainly be the one where you'll spend the most time on the boat.
Isn't the Oasis area like where they go to like find mates and stuff?
It is, yes. It is. But it's also where they go to meet old friends and see family again, and they don't just.
Well, we could pick up Kiavo's lover if we were so inclined.
If you got lucky, yeah, sure, I guess. Let's focus on anybody that's not Kiavo today. Just given that he's not here, and he may not be here next week either, right? So. He was sucked into a deep dark hole into the abyss. Alessio, do you have any preference, north, south, east?
I think we should go through the mountains, because I think mountains are cool.
Sick. Henrik, any preference?
I mean, as long as we're on a boat, I feel like we should just get a little farther out away from things. All this going in through there and maybe canals and stuck up in a bunch of cities and things, that I kind of like the idea of heading south and just being a little bit freer out in the open.
Sebastian?
I don't really have a preference, to be honest. Sebastian doesn't care at all.
Alright.
Corin probably has a bit of an aversion to the cold, so the mountains don't seem especially tempting to him, especially considering they were stuck in mountains for a little while at the beginning of our journey.
Yeah, you were. And these mountains are a lot higher than those.
Yeah.
I like the heat, though.
I mean, north or south? I'd say definitely north or south, leaning maybe south because it's seemingly warmer.
Right,
Considering
but you
that
know
it's
what? I
desert.
really want to cross the Lake of the Urak State as the DM. So we're going to do that. So we'll go south through Halium. But it does make sense. Regardless, yeah, we're able to get sort of going, and there's a little bit of a harbour area in the Urak State, but this lake is so large. It's known usually as the Blue Lake. It is so large you can't see the other side. It extends miles and miles and miles. And as you begin to set out towards the centre of the lake, you see a little unusual. The water is crystal clear. It is fresh water. As you look down, you see deep under the water, sort of mountainous landscape under the water. Huge, great trenches and large scaling mountains under the ocean give way to thousands of usual plants, strange fish, and other sea life, water life. And as you get out a little further, it won't be long, perhaps a few hours, before you begin to notice that there's a current. You'll all start to see it as it seems to be concentric, circular, round. And after a few hours, Phoebe sort of smiles and laughs and looks down at you, looks over at you all, and I hope you're ready for a treat.
I do like surprises.
And you see...
I don't.
Well, you're gonna get one.
What is it? This is no joke, woman. Tell me, what is a surprise?
You'll find out in a minute.
We have no time to waste.
You notice a young Kalashtar girl climb down from the crow's nest, because it's probably not sensible to be up there during this moment. And sure enough, within sort of 20 minutes, Alessio, you'll clearly see it keeps straight. What appears to be that swirling black hole of the abyss that Janelle was taken. At the very center of the lake, the water swells and is dark. And Phoebe will tell you for free that it's sort of a friendly competition between ships to see how close they can get to the middle without getting sucked in. You've got to come in at pace so that you can cut close to the whirlpool. But she says, because she's got guests, and she quite likes her life, she won't cut as close as she has in the past. But she'll still take you pretty close. What's up? Yes,
I've already cheated with death once.
What is this nonsense? We shall go as close to the whirlpool as possible. We must prove ourselves.
No, I don't think we need to prove ourselves. I'm well proven as a captain, thank you, and frankly, we're not laden for it right now. It'll be quite thrilling enough, I warn you. Indeed, take you closer and
Sorry. Is there anything like in the center of the whirlpool, or is it just like I don't know?
You might find out. But right now, you can't see the center. It just seems dark. As the ship crests over the edge of these concentric currents, it begins to tilt slightly. Only ever so slightly, as she's cutting a diagonal line across. But soon you realize that the water is on a very steep incline down to the center of this. And indeed, as the boat tips, those of you looking out the port side, Sebastian specifically, as you were interested, go ahead and give me a perception check. See if anybody can make out anything unusual or interesting. Center.
I'm gonna use one of my lucky points. Oh, that's 17.
So I need anybody and everybody who wants to look, because you will get different things. Torin, is that a 12? Is that correct?
Just the 12, yes.
Yep. Hennig doesn't see much. Oh no, that's
Really?
a completely different perception.
That was an old. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
see
sorry.
it. The money crab.
Yes, it wasn't really a money grab, but yes.
I know.
Cool. So yeah, you guys see different things. Sebastian, as you peer down into the darkness, it appears like there's stars in the center. Constellation of stars at the very center of this.
Does it seem magical?
It's certainly no natural creation. Or at least if it was created long, long ago.
And I will walk up to the captain and say, we need to go in that whirlpool.
You have been fascinated of it, but nobody who goes in comes back.
Well,
We
then
all
we
see
should find out
something
where they
slightly
come.
different. But we can go a little closer again. And with that, she makes out the call, and the boat sort of tilts much more drastically as the boat cuts in closer. Hennig, you look in. Looks like a window to another world. Again, you see this sort of dark scape. Then you're sure you see a rocky landscape within, where sort of crystals seem to be dotted all around the rocky landscapes, sparkling quite pale white. Alessio, you look in. You see something similar. I'm going to pair you two up because it's quite similar. You see something similar, but you see a lake within this rocky landscape upon which the stars are reflected. They're not a starscape that you know you ever navigate. All right. As you look in, you're not so astute with your view. It looks to you like it's reflecting the sky above, but dark, as if day has turned to night. As you swirl deeper, though, get closer, you all see silver twists within the black vortex. These silver twists appear to be like strands of starlight, or waves upon the water, or mystical hurricanes, tornadoes within a deep, distant landscape, a nebula of galaxy, in fact, of something. And then you're all woken from your sort of hypnosis and mesmerization, staring in, as the waves splash up into your face, and you realize that this boat is on like a 50-degree angle. It's an incline that's really unsteady, and the spray is ricketing up in your face, and standing right at the front of the boat, her hands gripping the rail, her husband just behind her is Phoebe, gazing not ahead to navigate the boat, but into the depths. And manning the tiller is another person, by the way.
Hmm. No, it's just I was going to deliberately give somebody some mostly role play or bardic inspiration, but I guess I might give it to the person who's actually steering. Unless it feels like, I guess if it feels like she needs to break something loose, I might go with the captain. And just
she's just enjoying it.
Okay.
It's
Would
Brayden.
it-
Brayden. Go on.
I was just going to say, would it be incredibly dangerous for me to cast fly and to try and get closer?
Yes. Yes. Probably lethal.
What kind of danger?
Lethal. We'll probably never see you again.
Do it.
So wizards have, in fact, if you're even
Two
considering
cats
it,
down in one day.
if you're even considering it, an Earth
Taken by the
Genasi,
abyss.
an Earth Genasi standing nearly 7 feet tall comes to stand next to you and places a rocky hand upon your shoulder. So, you don't want to try that. wizards from the mages go out times with their magics and their levitations of a close center of this lake. Most of them are inexorably drawn in. Seen again. They say about
That's why the sun is the night sky, but okay.
is it?
But do we know if it's affected by anything? How far away is it?
Right now, it's about 400 feet away from you.
I think it's important to notice that you see Alessio beginning to wrap a rope around his stomach and around the mast of the ship. And I'm trying to measure how long I would get under that rope so I could jump. And I'm kind of peering on the
50
side.
feet, and it's a good 400 feet to the abyss.
I begin tying more ropes.
A green dragonborn is watching you patiently, but doesn't seem be likely to stop you until perhaps you actually consider jumping.
Oh yeah, I'm fully getting ready.
Yeah, but like until you're like standing on the edge of the boat, he's not too far. You notice the Kalishtar who's steering the boat, who you have inspired. Joe, how exactly would you inspire said steersman?
Yeah, so I mean, especially with everybody starting to do crazy things, Hennick sort of carefully clambers up one of the little, what looked like ladders leading up to the quarterdeck there, and sort of just hanging on there to get a little height and sort of calling to everybody, just saying, "Listen, most of us are farm village folk, and we're heading to the magical land of the elves. We got a destination enough on this voyage. We don't need to go anywhere too fantastical. You there at the tiller, please keep us on course."
You see this sort of rictus of a smile like stuck on the face of Braylon as his white hair is flailing wildly in the wind. His eyes lit up with the journey, but he is not staring at the vortex. He is instead enjoying the sheer magic of his ship navigating these waves at such a cut angle. You see Kel, the ship's boy, leaning right out over the rail, head down into the vortex, seeing whatever it is he sees. While Jessica, the second mate, is, you'll notice, slyly sort of creeping up on Alessio, getting ready to yank him back. And then suddenly the ship sort of clears the sea and then slides down as it runs over this wave and begins to make its way back up the whirlpool on the other side. For almost an entire second that felt like it lasted a lifetime, it was suspended in the air. And as it crashes down, all of you, your views into the vortex are shaken. Suddenly you're seeing something different again. Like dawn. Sun rising in the darkness. Or a moon? A light coming up from the very bottom of the vortex, rising into the middle. And it's at this moment that the Tabaxi places her hand on Alessio's shoulder. Close your eyes if you're feeling like jumping. You change your mind.
I'm not charmed at all. This is all me. I just want to check out what's at the bottom.
That's a one-way trip.
Wow.
And she puts her hand a little more firmly on your shoulder. And Captain says we've got to keep you all on board. Come on. And you notice there's quite a lot of strength in that grip, but she's not trying to contest sort of her strength against yours, only to reassure you that time. And in fact, you swiftly realize, even through Alessio's slightly dense skull, that you would not be able to tie rope quick enough for the pace that you are moving away from the whirlpool up the edge. And indeed, as you crest the top of the whirlpool's edge, the boat tips over. Not like capsizing, but like down the other side of the swirl. And your last glimpse of the vortex, each of you sees the same thing. Single eye back at you. Like somebody is within some vast god being.
I'm calling it. It's Phelan.
It is a little bit like Phelan's single eye that was staring into the rock. But no, this is sort of... It's so brief, you're not even sure that... But you all mention it. So, when you go to describe its colour, each of you will describe a different colour. Until each of you realizes that the colour you're describing is the colour of your own. Who knows? It's a mysterious vortex.
Is this how we all multi-class into divination wizards?
I'm hoping that after you've completed the storyline, this is how you all die. Trying to find out what's in the center of the vortex.
You find yourself.
Yes, indeed. Well, perhaps. Perhaps you do. Or die. Regardless, as you pop down the other side, you just hear sort of, all right, yeah, cool. Love it. Go on, Cap. That was great. From Kel, the ship's boy. He loves it every time they do that, and you get the impression that they kind of do that every single time they leave. They leave the Urek state. They hop on down to the center. Yeah, the boat is quickly righted to doing normal things. Pretty annoying, Mace. I keep thinking it's going to stop my dramatic music and play boating music, and then it doesn't, and it gets really annoying. So I've now fixed it and do it automatically. So yeah, as the boat resumes its more natural passage, and you begin to move once again across the blue lake, it's not long before you shores up on the other side. You've been traveling perhaps hours, and the sun is beginning to sort of, it's not setting, but it's beginning to lower in the sky, creating a dazzling light to stare into. No, that's backwards. A dazzling light at your back as you're headed east, not west. But yeah, I'm never good with that. As you head away, with sort of anybody looking back will be dazzled by the sunlight. And again, you can see crystal clear the sort of mountainous landscape of the boat. And something else. Boats. The boats. Sat at the bottom of the ocean. Perfectly, or the lake, sorry. Perfectly preserved in their permanent residence. The wreckages here. What are we doing, guys? How are we feeling?
Disappointed that we didn't go to see the big eye. But now that the war's calmed down everything, I'll probably start trying to brew some tea.
Oh, day one.
Some honey tea, yeah.
What are the rest of you?
I think that Torin might just be leisurely strolling around the ship, trying to get to know the crew members. Maybe particularly the Green Dragonborn.
Yeah, so if you remember, I don't know if you do, but certainly Torin would remember, Green Dragonborns are slaves or criminals.
Yes, yes.
And even in the lands of Kalan and...
I was going to ask, if he's from Kalan, does that mean that the same rules apply?
Even further afield, you would know that the Dragonborn enslave all. And indeed, he's a little wary of you at first, obviously, ruling colour. But if you approach him, he'll gladly speak back.
Yeah, greetings, brother.
Brother. We're different from most.
Well, I was not born in the motherland. I grew up in a small town called Sandringham, in Jawston.
That sounds lovely. You grew up on this ship?
Well, that's not half bad. probably a nicer affair than most Green Dragonborn have in Beldania.
Well, I think the first 15 years were quite par for the course. This was a slaver's ship. Captain herself was a slave.
Ah. Well, I'm so sorry then.
So glad we rose up, and when she took over, Captain, I thought that perhaps I would be cast ashore. Trusted me. Life is hers, and she knows it. To walk free of shackles, free of chains, but also free of judgment from those around me. Life better than any other Green Dragonborn gets.
And as you should. I've been told that all members of this ship are good men.
I try to be good. Makes me question that perhaps the yoke that the Green Dragonborn bear is perhaps unfair. Oh, I must say, those I've met of my kind seem sly, conniving tricksters. Whether that is by nature or by nurture. If he's met Green Dragonborn, obviously the majority of them are probably criminals, not slaves, so
yeah,
fair to say that, you know.
Well, the name's Torin.
Frankus.
Yes, it shall be a pleasure serving on this ship with you.
Serving. Willing to run a rope then, are you?
Yeah, I've always dreamed of being a sailor one day. Perhaps you could show me the ropes, eh? And I'll sort of rib him in the side.
He smiles, and you see, care of a ship starts with the simple bit: maintaining the ropes, checking the knots, stowing away any debris that is, ensuring that sail is, well, simple things. And he takes you down below decks. John, this is your first time on a seafaring boat, is that correct?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Give me a con check. Because although you guys were all doing all right standing on the deck, as when you go below decks for the first time, it can be quite a strange feeling, especially in a
7.
7. Yeah, you feel a little queasy.
Was that a save or a check?
No, just a check.
Okay, yeah,
no, I know you'd get like some absurd number on top of that. Plus 11. But no, he takes you over to sit in the quiet corner of the decks, and you'll notice that the below decks is quite a strange way of organization. So there's a sort of sloped 45-degree ladder. I don't know if that becomes a staircase at that point. I don't know what point it becomes a staircase. But it definitely looks like a ladder, right? That comes from above decks to below decks. That sits 45 degrees, and it sits in the center of the below decks. In that area, around the center, are small rooms, each with a curtain in front of them, where you assume the people have bunked. And indeed, you would have been shown to these rooms. And each of you. Oh, that's outside. It smells like burning. And just a quick distraction. My house is on fire. Anyway, yeah, as you look around, obviously you'll see all the different bunk rooms. There's way more bunk rooms than there are shipmates. So each of you was able to have your own bunk room. And indeed, there were 3 or 4 more that are still used as storage. Some of these that you have been given, you would have known were storage rooms beforehand, stowing rooms. So you might have the odd sort of slat of wood kind of screwed into the ground, or perhaps a hook or a rail here or there that looks like it was keeping cargo in place. And all of you will have guide ropes coming down the one wall at the back, but they're pretty easy to do when they're quite well tied, not be interfering with you. Hammock will be tied across each of you so that you can sleep. And with the exception of Hennick and Sebastian, how tall are you, Sebastian? You Hennick height, or are you taller? I can never remember.
I am between 2.5 and 3 feet tall
Right.
and weigh
Right.
between 50 and 90 pounds.
I like the way that you have undecided. You have just decided. I'm between 2.5 and 3 feet, depending on the day.
That's just what my race says.
And
I'm small.
How well
that's
brushed my fur is. If it's standing on end, I'm 3 foot tall. So you'll have a strange device, the two of you, which is a hammock, but it is a hammock sort of within blocks of wood. So if you imagine, there's a sort of
like a crib, basically.
a bit like a crib. Yeah, it's a thick block of wood with a gap in the middle where the hammock can swing. The main purpose of this is you can climb up the edge to get in. But the secondary purpose of this is that a hammock, if it hasn't got enough weight in it, may tip you out, and that would be greatly uncomfortable for the two of you. If you ever put a house cat in a hammock, they fall out. So, like in real life.
Depends on the construction of the hammock. I happen to sleep in one every night, but we'll get into that later.
Does your cat sleep in it alone?
No, cat can't get into it at all because it's not it's not smooth cloth, right? It's
Right.
It's a Mayan netting style, right? But
Okay.
anyway,
in that sense, I guess that would make a lot more sense. But it's certainly in this day and age, these hammocks are shallow, right?
Sure.
The idea being that in the middle of the night when the siren alarm goes off, you can swing over and straight out. They're easier to get out of than your classic hammocks. I used to have a hammock in the garden, couldn't get out of it at all. So yeah, these are quite shallow hammocks, but you've got little crib design to keep yourselves happy. But anyway, Torin, you're led into a corner by Ram, of the open area within the center of these staterooms. And in this corner, you see that there's lots of things that look half done and half dealt with. So there's a roll of sail that hasn't quite been rolled up yet. There's a few ropes that appear snagged or snarled or twisted. And they're kept in place by one big tarp that has been sort of pulled over and tied down. So when he pulls the tarp back, this is all the stuff there. And he shows you a bit of sail. And have you worked a needle?
I am actually a bit of an amateur leather worker myself.
Oh, fantastic. Well, in that case, maybe you can help me with this. And he begins to roll it back, and you see that it's the backup sail. It's far less fancy in its design, but there is a huge gash across, almost 3 foot long, with a large ship's needle held past you it. And as you begin to move into the leather working, you'll start to feel less queasy if you focus on your task. And yeah, down there, Renkus will sort of keep up a pleasant chat, but basically tell you about the simple things on a boat that he enjoys. Running the rigging is his favorite thing to do, though he does say that the larger folk tend to struggle a little bit in the crow's nest. It's really for the smaller. And he'll tell you that Layla, the first mate's daughter, is usually the one up in the rigging. So a few others. He'll tell you of sort of tales that may or may not be completely true, of different things that the boat has encountered. Apparently the slash through this sail was made by a grand silver dragon. To you, it looks like it might have been made by a slightly large hunting bird. Is the like. And as we need,
Torn would obviously be trading embellished stories with
Oh,
Renkus,
fabulous! Yes, of the 75-foot abomination you slayed in the mountains.
Yes, exactly.
The Grand Yeti. Yes, good. As the two of you are sort of getting
run-ins with liches and such.
Well, indeed, that's not even embellished. As Torin's doing this, what else is going on? As the evening is yet to approach.
You can probably find Sebastian sleeping in his hammock.
Oh, you're down in the hammock already, waiting for the tea to boil?
Yeah.
Okay. While you are prepping said tea, would normally be wisdom, but I think we'll let you use intelligence. Go ahead.
I made this skill based off wisdom.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, bear with me. System we use. I'm gonna put it. You want to refresh and give me a tea making check? Hold on, sorry. Should be +2, basically. You wish to roll a dice, you can do that instead. For now, but it's a it's a check with a +2.
I'd like to use one of my lucky die. All these nat ones. Okay, that's a bit better. That's 15.
15, yeah.
Yeah.
You're making your tea with simple honey when you sort of smelling the various things you had, think that adding some chamomile might be nice. As you add the chamomile, in the method that the Student's Guide to Tea Making prescribes, you make yourself a tea that aids in sleep. A long rest can be achieved in only 6 hours. Get the impression that if you could make it better, then maybe that number would be smaller.
Sure, that's fine. I will drink said tea and I will go to sleep.
Take a long rest. After a little while, Torrin begins to complain of a strange purring, snoring, strange noise coming from behind you. As you and Rankus are. Sebastian's sleeping and teeing. What's Hennick up
to? Question first. I realize the whichever one it is, or Lana or whatever, it has Genasi in it. Do we know Genasi relatively well, or are they weird to us?
You would have seen many Genasi.
Okay.
Yeah, Genasi are quite a common feature. However, what you won't have seen much of is Earth Genasis.
Okay,
Earth
but
Genasis
seeing one
tend to stay at home more often, but you'll have seen them. Yeah.
Right, get the idea from having known others, and get the idea that he's Earth connected at some level.
Yes.
So I think he would be the first one that I would approach to just start chatting with the different crew and just say to him,
the Earth or the water? Sorry.
The Earth one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Earth one.
So this is Ferl, the deckhand. He's the deckhand who told Sebastian not to go approach you. Guest. Welcome. Did you find the trip through the whirlpool?
Well, fascinating as most, I think, but I appreciate your steady hand there with my friend. It's not many things. Well, if there's one thing I'm willing to occasionally take pride in, it's my connection with the Earth. But I see that you seem to have me beat quite a bit there.
Well, for me, it's the stone, the rock of the land. With most pleasure. Oh, you find an Earth Genasi at sea.
That would certainly have been my next thought.
Perhaps my connection with the Earth is less so than those of my fellows. Or perhaps find the air. I keep some crystals in my room. The sea has taken me. I was a slave on this boat as a child. Grew to love it. Not being a slave. See.
That makes sense. Yeah, well, we certainly all appreciate you all taking us along on this. It's not something we know much about. We look forward to your expertise.
Well, I just do what the captain tells me. Enjoy the journey. Makes it so we don't have much to do. Anything, my expertise is in tying ropes, coiling lines. Stowing cargo, that's when I come to the fore. It's my primary job. Why? Stow the cargo, but Braylon and Phoebe have been training me in the art of selling and buying.
Oh, interesting.
It's I that goes aboard with... aboard? What's the opposite of that? It's I that goes ashore. Ashore.
A land?
A land, yes. It's I that goes ashore with Phoebe. She makes her trades. A little bit of security and a little bit of nothing.
Are we going to get to do any trading along the way now, do you think?
He looks a little reticent. Give me an insight check.
Sure. 19?
Yeah, as he says, no, I don't think so. You get you're reminded of what Phoebe said. Perhaps
Yeah.
the reason they're not stopping into trade is because you.
Right.
But then he sort of makes a little half smile. And, guess that's up to you. There's some great ports on the way through Alien. Trading outposts, fascinating. Most unusual rocks and crystals and gems and wonderful little stores. Will come far and wide to trade in what has no value in and of itself. Fascinating stuff. And you can see his eyes sort of light up as he's really enthused by the idea of these trading stores. You can see it's one of his favorite places.
Sure. Well, we've been on a strange, unexpected journey on land, of course, but for some time now, and well, hell, we've stopped a lot of places we weren't necessarily expecting to, and I think you'll find some people in this party are curious about more than just fascinating whirlpools. Maybe we get a chance to stop at some places, and with you mentioning that specifically there, I wonder, especially with your specific connection with stone, I've been trying to learn a little bit of working of small stone for jewelry type purposes and this sort of thing. Sounds like some of the stuff at this place might be very interesting, but I imagine if you might be able to give me a hand getting a sense of how to put a hole or a notch in a small stone to tie a cord to it without destroying the whole damn thing, well, then I might have something worked up worth going to trade.
He sort of gets quite excited, and then he sort of, one moment, and he runs off down below decks, and then he runs back up, and he brings you this sort of, it's a rope, effectively. It's not even like a leather cord. It really is
Sure.
a rope through this large medallion stone. You can see that there is a hole bored through the stone that is in the center of what appears to be an eye on the stone, so like an eyelet of
Sure.
other stone featuring. And he said, well, the key, I think, I don't make jewelry, but I understand that the essence of the rock, as you say, the key is to go with the features that the rock provides you. In this situation, a circle within a circle. But with the crystals, sometimes a most unusual and square notch can be what brings it to life. He begins to
Right.
sort of show you the smoothness of the circle poured through the medallion, and then a small amethyst-like crystal, quartzy sort of, jagged edges, where there's a strange sort of diamond-shaped cut through it for a small leather cord that, again, enhances its weirdness.
Sure.
If you'll let him, he'll speak to you about that.
Yeah, I will let him. And which was the place where he wants to stop to look at that stuff?
So, there is a place called Ciran. Ciran is spelled with a C, Ciran. And we will mark it. Weirdly, we'll mark it. It's a market. Those two things were very difficult to say simultaneously. But yes, it's he'll explain to you that it's a semi-permanent residence. So you'll be familiar with the crossroads, right?
Sure.
It appears every day and then it disappears overnight and then reappears. It's where all of these people sort of come to conglomerate, as you like. Holy shit, that is the size of a house. Yeah, we'll pin it just there. Up a little bit. There we go. So it's here. He just... So I... out over the water. Doesn't matter too much. Yeah, so it's there. Fantastic. And that is Saran. I know that I've just screwed my camera up by doing that, but a second. Oh wow, you don't want to dodge over there, do you? Yeah, Saran is, as I said, it's a sort of market that springs up. Lots of wonderful coloured tents and such. No real permanent buildings, but the nomads come from all over to trade. And halflings make their way over from Cormin occasionally. More consistently, the boats come up from Oldsmere and down from the Yurak State to trade, but halflings do make their way across land, across the edge of the less hot part of the desert from Golden Shire to make trade. And it really makes for this wonderful sort of diverse place of, unusual wares. Obviously, he doesn't tell you about it, but you get the impression that there's probably a lot of people trading for simple things like foodstuffs, especially in the desert, perhaps. There are lots of people just trading grain and all those sorts of normal things. Cattle that are traded for camels and such, and desert creatures. If you do happen to mention animals, he'll tell you that the llama trade there is buzzing. But yeah, Saran it's quite a wonderful place to go. And as you're having this discussion, the sun begins to lower in the sky, and just as it begins to set, you see a vast, wide river that the boat begins to enter into a channel of. This river is perhaps 500 or 600 meters across. At the entrance, at the mouth here. It does narrow down a little bit, but there are times when, you could have 8 or 9 ships abreast this river. And it's fast. And obviously you're traveling downriver, so the boat does seem to pick up quite a lot of speed. But even at the very beginning of this journey on the river, you see that quickly the land is giving ways to dunes with small bits of greenery around them. Trees that seem to dip right down to the river to grab nutrients from their dry soil. And as you enter the river... we're back. So, we left off sun setting and you guys enter. You'll notice something straight away. Side and not an effect of the sunset. As you look into the water, it appears to be colored. Rainbow. Strange colored lichen grows under the ground. Under the water, on the rocks. Giving this water the sense of sort of deep reds and yellows and blues, greens, all sorts of colors. These are probably the same crystal deposits as well. Some of the colors that talking about. Nope, name's gone. You open up.
Furl?
Pearl, yes, Pearl. Thank you. I'm getting Earth Genasi. So yeah, probably the same things. So as you're standing at the edge of the boat talking to Furl about it, the things he likes to buy and trade in Saran. Corin's below decks sewing sail, chatting away, trading boastful stories with. I nearly said Porank. Where did that come from?
Rankus.
Rankus. Fucking punk.
Bonk!
And Sebastian is asleep, having brewed a fabulous tea he didn't share with any of you, with honey and chamomile that allows you to take a long rest in 6 hours. What the hell's Alessio up to?
Yeah, what's Alessio up to?
Practicing with my bells.
Oh, good God, where are you doing that, and who are you annoying with it?
Probably like on the little pointy part of the ship, on the mast. I think it's what it's called.
I'm going
The
to
prow or
put
the
us on the.
bowsprit
I'm going to put
or-
us on the boat page, and you're going to ping it. Say what?
In this bit.
Oh, just like chilling right at the edge.
The gangplank?
Sure, let's
that's
call it
the-
that.
Yeah, that's the boarding plank. That's the part holding a sail. Okay, that's like 4 inches wide. Half the width of your foot.
Let me
I
try to
mean-
put a foot down, and if the foot slips, I won't go all the way in. But if I'm able to do it, I'll go.
Okay, as the lookout, Layla notices you basically tightrope walking, and doing strange bell tricks. She comes and sits by the gangplank and watching you. Doesn't say anything. She's a young girl. She appears to be nearly 20, and she bears a great resemblance to Braylon, the first mate. In fact, I think somebody's already been told that she is Braylon's daughter. I think that might be Tori.
Yes.
But yeah, Layla has come down from the crow's nest. The ship's boy is up there at the moment. And she watches you for a while before she starts to walk along the side of the ship. So like the edge sort of area. She has a guide rope that she's got tied to the ship. And she walks sort of along the edge of the boat, and then she tosses a rope to you. No warning. She tosses it out.
I'll grab it.
Captain's orders. Tie yourself
evening,
up
my
and you can
lady.
walk where you like. You have to tie yourself. Just in case you go
have
over.
we lost our manners? Are you not to
Good
greet
evening
me
to yourself as well,
I have greeted
Layla.
you.
Good evening to yourself. My name's Layla.
I
Tie the
bless
rope and then
you
we'll
all
talk.
that.
Captain's orders. I'll do my job.
Fine. I'll grab like my the wedding finger and I'll
Yeah.
tie it around it. Are you happy now, Layla?
He looks at you and sort of gives you a measuring glance. You go overboard, you better hope it catches you, because we won't stop for you and we won't come and get you.
I'll start untying it from the finger and I'll begin tying it around. I'm only joking.
How did you learn to tie a rope like that?
Oh, when I was a child, I used to, and obviously I'm still kind of like balancing myself.
So she,
keeping my
right?
attention.
He's also.
When I was a child, I grew up in a circus.
Oh. That's unusual. Are you
I'm
no longer
uh,
a circus person?
I would like to think that a part of my past still lies in me. I don't want to forget where I've come from.
But is no longer what earns you the gold.
Indeed.
Shame. Imagine that'd be a wonderful way to make a living.
I suppose, but that is not where my strengths lie anymore. It's now just a way of putting the past at ease.
Defeating those demons is always the hardest fight. She smiles sadly, and you
suppose.
notice that she's thinking back to memories of her own. And she smiles at you. Find that living in the present is the best way to forget the past.
What past do you speak of? I couldn't help but notice. You seem troubled.
Once. No, I'm not troubled anymore. Quite happy in my life, but I was born a slave. I was only 4 when the mutiny happened, but dark memories stick with you more easily than light ones. My father still bears many scars. Mother died soon after I was born. Easy life. But life under the captain, now that's an easy life. Great life. How do you find our ship, Alessio?
You refer to the captain as captain and not as your father?
My father's not the captain, he's the first mate. Captain's Phoebe.
Oh.
She would make a great dad. Alas, it is not the case.
I see.
If the halfling was her
see.
father, she'd be very confused. She's a Kalish.
Sorry, I'm not the brightest. I
No,
I struggle
don't
keeping
worry.
track of all the names.
Me neither. I barely count out the number of sails I can see when we approach the big lakes.
And then I'll begin like taking a little throttle towards her, and I'll say, "I'm finding the ship, rather." And can I do a front flip off the gangplank?
Oh, off of it, yes, yeah. I thought you
Yes.
meant like, and then land on it. I was like, no. Yes,
no,
you can-
I want to
you can
land
front
like on
flip
the
off it.
ship.
And she gives it sort of.
No, I'm not done.
Oh,
And I'll like wrap a little bit of the rope around her. And I'll like tie it in I'll tie it in a flower. Like let's say around her arm. And I'll say,
I don't know how one ties
Yes.
a rope in a flower, but I believe it. Give me a sleight of hand check. How neatly
this is
you-
the end. It's not a most unrealistic thing.
No, it's true.
14.
14, yeah, that's fine. It's not as unrealistic as a vortex that shows you the stars. Yeah, I'll give you that. But yeah, as you do so, she smiles easily.
I'm finding the boat rather interesting.
Doesn't say much. Is it pleasant?
Yes. And it's got beautiful eyes. I mean, sails.
That it does. It'll be ready soon. Care to join me
Yes.
for a meal?
Yes. Let's go eat. Yes, that's what we're going
And
to
she
do.
sort of steps backwards, and you notice that whereas you thought you tied her quite securely, she suddenly untied it. She just steps free. She smiles at you easily.
Unless you shuckles a little bit. Like little people.
Yeah, she smiles easily, and you can see that whilst she's flattered by your interest or by your attentions, I suppose is a better word, because I don't know whether you're interested, but certainly you've given her attention you would normally appreciate. She's certainly quite deft in making it clear that she's her own woman.
I hope so. That's my type.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Probably sort of not that far, to be honest. Maybe across the boat, but no further. And, you would have.
I think I would. Yeah, I would not interrupt any of it, but as it is sort of concluding and she's leaving him behind to go to dinner anyway, I would like Alessio to make a strength saving throw. He can probably pass it because he's a strong fellow, but
Kinetic shove.
What are you doing to me? I go to 17.
You're fine.
Which way were you
But
shoving him?
I was gonna yank him on.
Oh,
Hennick was gonna yank him 5 feet back onto the thing with quit your showing off hijinks out there, basically.
Sorry, Henrik. Gotta impress the ladies, especially when they look as good as that.
this fell sort of lets out of her.
Hey.
Impressing her would be far easier if you had larger breasts. To that, he sort of raises a mug at you. Yes, she is.
Well,
gonna
Sebastian
be-
turned himself into a cat, so.
True, but she is going to be very difficult for you to tempt.
Reality has a way of laying low with the cocky there, McPherson.
We live
So never how you expect.
We live in a world of free love. Maybe one day she will come to love me back.
Well, perhaps you can infer that maybe some of her choices were made due to the life she was born into. She does appear to be a full Kalashtar, so her father is probably Brandon. But she's not 100%. Perhaps she makes her choices for good reasons. Perhaps your gentleness will tempt her to other choices in life. I'll leave it at that.
Bisexual confirmed?
You might find out. Maybe you have to convince her that that is the case. Either way, the ship's bell rings.
Unless you're no longer attracted to her.
The ship's bell rings, and apart from the second mate, Jessica, the tabaxi, and Kel, the ship's boy, everybody else sort of joins in the mess hall to come and grab food. And this is probably the first time you've seen Goran all journey. He's a rather chubby water genasi, and he sort of comes out hefting a pot on the table, to which there is a bit of a cheer. Smells good. Smells really good. And obviously, the way it is with ships is the food always starts off fantastic, gets slowly worse the longer you spend on the ship without touching into port. Fresh meat goes first, so that's what you've got tonight. You've got a wonderful sort of venison stew. Yeah, and he starts doling out, and he serves all the crewmates first. Phoebe, and then the other crewmates. And then he puts the cauldron as such down with 5 bowls, each of you, on the table, but doesn't serve it to you. It says little.
Yeah, Hennick will start doling out bowls for all of his people. No complaint.
Yep, he says nothing to you, but Braylon quickly comes over to you, Hennick, as you're serving out. Sorry. Oren was
Nothing to apologize for.
Oren was hoping to see his wife soon. He's been a bit grumpy.
And where would she be? Up to the north, then?
No. He sort of shrugs as if to say, like, Goran's business, but she's not a Beldania. Long journey back. It's been, well, nigh 18 months since we've last visited her, and it's none of that your fault. Please, don't take responsibility for something that's not your fault.
I'm only taking responsibility for feeding my friends, and that is my responsibility.
And that's appreciated. Enjoy. The stew will be good. Grumpy as he might get, Goran. Goran's a good cook. He'll mellow out after a couple of days. Complain as he will, that woman wouldn't leave him for the amount of gold. Never met a seasick Genasi. And for that, would have been travelling with us. What a Genasi that gets seasick, imagine. He sort of shakes his head as he walks away. Yeah, the food's good. Sebastian, do you wake up for food? The bell was rang quite loudly.
Yeah, not because of the bell, just because probably of smelling it.
Yeah, you've had your 6 hours anyway. And sort of as the stew you sort of come out nose first from your
I'm like cartoonishly floating in the air towards the smell.
Yeah. You're all sort of Layla and Furl and Brankus sit sort of at one end of a long table. You can see they're quite amiable and they're willing to chat if necessary. This is probably the first quiet moment you guys have had since Whirlpool, and probably only the second quiet moment you've had since Natasha's funeral. So they're giving you some space to really have a meal together. It is. Food's good. Hennick served it.
Thank you, Hennick, for always providing.
Well, of course, credit for the cooking goes to the chef over there, but yeah, hope we all enjoy it. Seems like it smells pretty good.
It is.
Late.
Yeah.
Can I get seconds?
The
Look and see if
whole
there's
crew
any.
sort of just gesture towards the.
Hooray for seconds!
There's still enough to feed all of you again, at least once. And of course, there will be some left over. You notice that 2 bowls have been sort of doled out, and then a dish has been put on top of the bowls for Kel and for second maiden. Indeed, as soon as Braylon has finished eating, he goes up and relieves. Whatever her name is, Jessica. And Phoebe goes up to the crow's nest, relieving Kel. Both of them come down and eat. You see the ship's boy is sort of being teased by the rest of the crew, but it's very gentle and friendly tease.
Sebastian.
McPherson.
There is a rather dire matter I must inquire you upon.
And what is this dire matter? Sebastian's not even like looking up at you. He's just continuously eating.
Yeah, I'm eating as well, and as I finish my second bowl, I'll look down at you and say, are you going to have your second bowl? Please answer me.
Sebastian kind of looks up at you, and like, if he had eyebrows, he'd raise one, and he'll No, you can have my seconds if you want them, McPherson.
And I'll go for my third bowl. So hungry tonight.
He doesn't have eyebrows. How bizarre.
Cats don't.
No, but
It's usually a couple of whiskers that are sort of up there.
that's you can't raise that. Weird.
As McPherson starts to eat my second bowl, I'm gonna prestidigitation it to make it cold.
I knew it.
Dessert!
Henrik, might I borrow your set of armor? I planned on making some alterations throughout our trip. Although I seem to have been conscripted into the crew, so perhaps I shall do a little work overnight before bed.
That'll be much appreciated. I'm glad you're helping out with the crew, you know. So don't worry too much about my armor. If there's something that we can do to help these folk, they're really putting themselves out on our account, I think, or at least may feel that way. So
I may be of noble birth, however minor it is, but not beneath getting my hands dirty.
no, I would never have thought so. Yeah. Please take care of that. I would appreciate it. Hopefully, we won't run into too much trouble, but I've hoped that before. So it would be good to have a little bit more protection.
Good. It seems we've become quite the adventurers.
Yeah, that's it's something to get your head around. Going this far afield, not even on the land at all anymore. And well, if it needs to be done though.
Alessio, how far have you traveled from Jawston or the Urak state?
I'll finish my third bowl and say, my travels forgo in my memories, Torin. I've been here and there. I've been to south of Urlana for a while, but mostly kept to the mountains west of there.
The very same mountains that you fought a Yeti in. Oh, relative.
You know, McPherson, just because one appetite goes unsatisfied doesn't mean you ought to replace it with another. You lose that fighting physique you got there.
Don't worry, Henrik. And I'll start doing some squats as I finish drinking. I got myself covered, good man, but thank you for your concerns. 17. 18.
Henrik, that's nonsense. He should eat as much as he wants.
Hooray!
Well,
Come on, McPherson, have another bowl. And then I'm gonna message Henrik and say, I want to see what it looks like if he gets fat.
yeah, and I'll just reply back through the message. It would be nice to have something other than your shield to hide behind.
At this
Good luck
moment,
finding something better.
at this moment, Goran comes out to collect the bowls, and notices that they're eating the third bowl. You're just finishing your third. And you see like a little bit of his grumpy facade crack as he, tiny bit of a smile breaks. Enjoyed the stew.
Yes, good man. This was perhaps one of the best stews I've had, at least today.
Recipe of my wife's. And
Wife
he
I
sort of
have.
he attempts to maintain the grumpy look, and then a little smile again sort of breaks out. Feel like all right, folk. With that, he just picks up the bowls and leaves you with yours if you're still eating, or takes it if you're done.
I'll raise a glass to him if they've served us anything to drink.
I want to congratulate him as well.
Congratulate him on.
Well, kind of like, thank you, good
Oh,
man,
right.
for
Yeah, yeah.
presenting us with the recipe on behalf of your wife.
Aye. Good cook.
I can tell.
And yeah, he sort of struggles to say anything more, but you can see his little facade is cracking a little bit. And as he walks past, you see that The Baxi and a halfling stood doorway, Phoebe and Jessica. Sort of just they were just coming down, having been re-relieved of their and they're smiling and sort of adding a little bit. Jessica, as she comes over, laughs. Well, we needed crack, grumpy man. And then Phoebe looks over to you all. Would you mind if we flirt?
Of course.
And with that, she sort of... She doesn't really wait for you to say yes. She just spreads a ship's charter across the table. Kiava's probably the only person that can really read this. But the rest of you sort of understand that it's somewhat of a map. And she starts pointing at different places and explaining where she is and whatever. But the crux of the matter is she's saying to you, you're currently here. Is there anywhere you want to make a stop? Oh God, what have I just done to that poor donkey?
Well, assuming we don't stop or have trouble, how long would it be until we get down to the sea itself?
Approximately 6 days. Maybe 5.
Alright, so it's
Good, Nick.
something of a journey regardless.
Yes. We'd normally stop at least once just to grab some more fresh water. We can hold it off in the river, but it's not... I don't pretend to understand. It's something to do with the rocks or something. Hey, it's funny.
So it's at this point that I wish that Jamal was here because Torn would be very interested in what Kiavo had to say about visiting Halion and potentially the land of the Leonin or...
Yeah, I mean, I'm more wondering if we're going to stop
Ulzmire.
before Ulzmire. Yeah, so there's a couple of places you could potentially stop. Obviously, the first is Saran. Well, no, the first is the strange thing. But that would be quite a journey, and you'd be putting at least 2 days delay.
Okay.
The second is Saran, which could be even be like a couple of hours stop, and is a good place to reprovision. At Saran, you could potentially go to the Oasis, but again, you'd be a couple of days on a journey. And the third, of course, is the... Why is this marked? Oh, sorry, it's got a little 8 next to it. Is the Way of the Path stop on the way down. But again, it's a little way inland. Couple of days journey.
So there are 2 8s, by the way, then.
Where's the
There's
other
an
8?
up on the river, or along the river between Veralia.
Oh, correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought so.
Guldur, just south of Daruka.
I don't think that's marked for that reason. Yeah, I don't think it's marked for that reason.
Well,
it was
we'll
very
disregard
difficult
that
to do.
then.
Yeah. No, Yeah, we'll delete that. I'm pretty sure it's marked for another reason. We don't. So yes, disregard that place. You can also, with only a day's delay, head over to Kraken Corin, which is the name of this Jew bastard.
Which one?
The one on the left.
Like this one right here?
Yeah. That would be an extra day's journey. You would have to sort of set out early morning, and you would be back late night.
I mean, that could be an interesting port because we could do that and then potentially walk over to the 8 if we should feel so
I
inclined.
removed the 8. Remember?
Oh, that 8 down there is gone then?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's marked for something different, and it's not something that we can do. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely stop there and take a journey over there. But primarily, do you want to stop at Saran?
Yeah, and so it's just her now, just the captain.
It's Phoebe and Jessica, who is the second mate.
Okay, right. Yeah, I mean, so I might be mildly cryptic, but not too much. Just sort of let her know. I was talking. Well, at least a furl, but I think it might be nice to stop in Saran. There might be some trading opportunities, various things, sort of stuff you might normally have done. We don't mind. We're certainly not above that.
Well, you'd be most glad of that stop. I myself too. If we did pick up some goods, could potentially sell some at Ulzmere, and on the way back up the coast, perhaps make a brief stop at Ilvacornis. If you're not in too great a hurry, and trading stops may also facilitate great news and I'm sorry, Joe, but the cat's tail is absolutely incredible. Just waving around behind your head.
He's been running around like a nut. He sees something.
But it's just the tail.
Yeah. I mean,
I was like, what's moving? And then I was like, oh, look, it's just a tail. Oh, fabulous. Oh, what a
there's
beautiful
the
animal.
whole butt of him. Yeah. I think because it's raining, I think so they have a window where they can go outside, and it may be closed because it's raining. My wife might have closed it, which means he's at the windows, just like desperately
okay.
trying to get out to fight animals and
As
things.
long as he doesn't suddenly pee on your
No,
cupboard.
no, that one's a good boy.
Sorry,
Yeah,
anyway, back to
so-
the point. She's
Right.
saying that dropping in at these places might not only be a good source of trade and a bit of coin, but they're also great for picking up information, which obviously her husband, Sweet Voice, is very interested in, but also you might find out a lot.
Yeah, and well, I think the thing is like we've what we're after is of some importance, but we've made our journey pay its own way up till now. We're not here to just suck the life out of the crew and the boat, and whatever needs to be done to make this trip work is what we'll do.
Yes, indeed. Business goes on.
He smiles and... Well, in that case, if it's all right with you, we'll make a couple of stops on our own accord, but if there is anywhere of interest along the way, as we mentioned before, Draken Korin is off to the east after we stopped at Saran. Maybe we'll have a little chat about that and see whether you're interested in it, but certainly we'll make a couple of trade stops along the way on our own accord then. I'll
Seems
tell you
fine
one
to
thing.
me.
It means we'll be eating better. Gord will be happy. Fresh meat, fresh fish. You get the
Well,
impression
sounds
that
good.
they seem to put their personal pleasure before their business. The fact that the first thing she mentions while making trade stops is that they'll have better food on the boat, and that they'll get to talk to people, friends they've made along the way, shows you that whilst they are making enough money to stay afloat, they're definitely more interested in a happy ship, which, given they're all freed slaves, sort of makes sense, really. They're valuing good life. One thing worth mentioning. Nobody's seen Sweet Voice yet. There was a captain's chambers up on the main deck that were their own building. You assume he's in there, but come out since the boat set sail. Not even for the strange local. Unless anybody is direct enough to inquire.
I mean, he is my connection to these people. That's why we run into each other in the first place. Suppose I might ask. Is your husband closed up in your quarters there, your cabin?
Yeah. Sure, I get it. Doesn't usually. I've seen open waters. Had a couple of words with him, but hey, I'll see if I can convince him to join us for breakfast tomorrow. Perhaps you might. Gentle inquiry.
Yeah, of course.
There are things a man will let slip. Conversation with associates that he'll lipped about around his.
Yeah, we'll see what we can get out of him. Kindly enough, of course.
Yeah. You can see she looks a little troubled, but also there's sort of a slightly amused smile as if to say, man things. He's having his man moods. She doesn't really seem to be placing any more importance. And indeed, she'll sort of excuse herself for captain's duties and such. But Jessica will stay with you if you don't mind, and she asks if perhaps you might spin a tale or two of your journeys. Tell her a little bit about who you are, and I'm not going to ask anyone that out because we know what you've all done. But yeah, if you're all willing to sort of tell a little bit about you. Of all of the crewmates, she seems the one who is most at ease. She's a tabaxi. She looks to be in her 40s. She's very competent, quite strong, well built. But she, maybe she's at ease because there's 2 cats in your party. Maybe she's at ease because she has no one to get home to. Or maybe she's just at ease because Likes people. She definitely seems a very sociable woman. And she'll quickly get you telling great tales about all the things you've done. And then she sort of slides into the conversation halfway later and, well, I hear that you, Taran, have been doing some work on sail for us. If you're interested in the duties of a boat, we've always got work to spare. There's... Just in case you're bored. Now, make no mind, the boat will run whether you help or not, but some of the duties are quite enjoyable. Indeed, heading up to the crow's nest is something I wish I could still do more often. You are interested in either the ways of a boat. By all means, ask myself or Brayden. Quickly find you tasks. But, Aaron, if you're... When you were putting needle to sail, I heard you did some leather work.
Aye, a bit of an amateur leatherworker myself.
Might I show you something?
Certainly.
And she heads off to her chamber and she comes back out with a unusual piece of armor. It seems to be made from varying strips of leather with spikes along. This is an armor in the style of my people, though. Honest, I didn't grow up with them. I've known my history. But as for that reason, it interests me. The heritage of this armor is meant to help them camouflage. Out and about and so.
How interesting.
Some of the seams aren't meshing brilliantly. I wonder if perhaps you and I might work on it together when I've got free time.
Well, absolutely. This is a fine piece of armor.
Go ahead and give me another working check. To see whether you can special.
14, maybe.
Yeah, 14's good. 14's good. Bear with me, I'm having to scroll through one by one. Really annoying because I had all this prepped and then I had to close the window because Roll20 wasn't being captured, and I'm having to reopen everything one by one. I was like, I have no idea what these people are going to do. Yeah, so you get the impression that this sort of lending to stealth
Mm-hmm.
to be a little...
Like magically or more like practically?
It is a practical thing, but there's sort of it's distracting. It's mesmerizing almost the way in which these carves are sort of they're done by sort of swirling styles, and the different colors of the leather catch the eye. You almost it's almost the opposite of camouflage, right? It's drawing you in, not drawing you out. It's distracting, but it's enough that you would be able to sort of slide on by before somebody's really realized what they've seen. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that in addition to helping like craft it and resew it, I would maybe try to practice a little myself, this sort of...
That was the intention.
Yeah.
Today you're only looking, but over the next 3 days, and we're going to sort of do all the checks at once for those 3 days, even though...
Yeah, for sure.
Happen. Yeah, if you just want to give me an intelligence check first, see what you can understand of it.
Oh, joy.
Go ahead and do it with advantage, though, because you do understand.
Oh, doesn't matter. It's a nat 20. Minus
Sick.
1 for 19.
So with that, you may add a point in leatherworking.
Nice.
You have learned more about your craft. So bear in mind that's not to the skill. That's that you're keeping track of in your other notes. I will adjust the skill accordingly. On the second day, give me a dexterity check. See whether you can recreate this swell.
It's 17.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's brilliant. And on the third day, see whether you can make you'll make a leatherworking check and see whether you can find a way of making this tough armor.
16.
Beautiful. You have made a set of Fey-shrouded armor,
Oh.
which you may add to your own inventory and give Torin your studded, give Hennick your studded leather if you wish, and say that you were making the seams in your own armor, or you can, give Hennick, or you can give it to Hennick directly. So it's up to you which set Hennick gets. But you'll basically have one set of studded leather and one set of Fey-shrouded, depending on whether you were sewing those lines into your own. Yeah, obviously, Hennick's armor fits Hennick and your armor fits you, but you could have been sewing those lines into either one. And in fact, over time, you will be able to give this Fey Shrouded. I believe it gives an additional 1 AC.
Yes, it does.
As well as giving you natural advantage on stealth checks. And once per day, you can cast Find the Path.
Wow.
Bizarre,
I mean, if I
weird
can
niche
try
skill.
to continue and make a set of two of them for both Hennick and I.
You will need to pick up some supplies and store around for that. So for now,
Okay.
pick it for one of you, and then all the time.
I'll take it for myself. Sorry, Hennick.
Well, I don't know what Hennick's gonna do with natural advantage on stealth.
Well, he's kind of sneaky.
Yeah.
He's not really great.
He's a little guy.
Yeah,
He was one of the sneakiest in the first session, and since then has not gotten any sneakier.
no, indeed. That is how that works. But yeah, over the next couple of days, you guys are able to mesh with the crewmates. Goran is the slowest to come around at ease, but you do get the impression that none of them truly begrudge you. Just a couple of them want to see their wives or friends in certain towns, but as soon as you've allowed them to stop into Saran and continue their normal trading, they're all much more sort of kindly disposed toward. The only one who avoids sorry, go on.
No, go ahead. Finish that.
The only one who completely avoids all of you other than Hennick is Kel, the ship's boy. He's not avoiding you because he doesn't like you, he's terrified. He finds Sebastian bizarre, unusual, and weird. It's a cat that walks on his back legs, and that's terrifying. Chiavo and Torin are just too bloody big. And Alessio is strange enough in his own ways, in prisms, even if not sights. When he started walking around jingling bells. But a couple of the times, Hennick, that Kel does talk to you quietly. Well, first of all, he will start giving you little tidbits of information about the crew without you asking for them, and sort of weird bits of information. So through this time, you'll find out that Brenkus has 2 wives. One of them is in Uldnir, where you're headed, and the other is in Venaros in northern Isra. He keeps them as far away from each other as possible. As far as you're aware, neither one knows the other one exists. You'll find out that Layla has a different partner every time they stop at a new port. All of them seem to be female. It's not so much that she's promiscuous as it is that she places... She doesn't want to have any responsibilities or be attached to. She's a very free person. Braylon has sworn never to take life up. There are little bits of information like that. But one thing that might be worth mentioning is that the following morning when breakfast, indeed, Sweet Voice does join you all. Cal will tell you that Sweet Voice is moody. He's all right. Out on the deck.
Sure. Sorry, I was thinking of a different thing, and
We can do the different thing first if you want.
No, it's okay because it's completely. It's in. I was gonna go message him the night before.
Oh, you can do that. That's fine.
But I don't. It doesn't matter. I can't decide what I was going to say to him now. I don't know what I'm going to say to him anyway. So what difference does it make, really? Talk to him at breakfast and still have no idea what the fuck to say to him.
He sits himself separately from everybody at the end. Not even. He's a seat away from his own wife. Yeah. That's morose.
I mean, I'm just gonna at least say good morning to him. You know, Zandrak, good to see you.
Morning.
Apparently, Zandrak is violently seasick.
Oh. See up my nose.
That explains everything.
It splashed back and it just went straight up my nose. I was like, what the fuck is that?
Are you all right, man?
Yeah, I'm not feeling great.
You know, I don't think too many of us has been aboard a ship before, but you must have been, at least for a few months now.
I don't get seasick.
Perhaps something else that ails you.
Anik, perhaps we could take a walk.
Yeah, of course. Happy to get about.
You can see he
chat.
doesn't really wait for you to respond. He sort of just walks out of the
Yeah,
deck.
I'll go right after him.
And as he walks on the deck, it's coming, isn't it? Trip. Gonna be where I die, isn't it?
Well, I don't think we have any way of knowing that.
Don't. But whether it's 6 weeks, 6 months, or even 6 years. How do you look at a woman you love when you know that you're going to leave her? Leave her alone.
I think it's cause to look all the harder.
Had to make a life for herself after I'm gone, but had a life for herself. Into it and had a wonderful 6 months. Have a wonderful 6 months more, and suddenly I leave her like a wave that's tossed the ship aside.
Well, I mean, man doesn't leave his crops in the field and not harvest them just because winter's coming.
Doesn't. She wants to have a
You know, well, that's another matter entirely, I suppose, but I'll tell you, the best advice I've gotten so far, now I think was it him who, he may have originally told me about Candaris, I believe, in the very first
grandfather.
bit. Yeah, okay.
No, you were accosted by a strange man in the in an inn who belonged to Velvet Glove.
Right, yeah, that was the first time.
Yeah, I don't even.
Yeah, no, I think I do somewhere, but he's had like a couple of names because
fine.
he's sneaky.
Yeah.
Not because it was screw up, but because he's like a
No,
spy.
he had monikers. Yes, correct.
Yeah. Okay, so then I will mention that idea. It won't be, but I'll sort of say, you know, it was. I may have longer to go than you at least think you do, but it's still. Well, look, it's we're all mortals. It's a terrifying prospect, and I was directed to the longest lived of our kind, and known as the grandfather, Candaris. I don't know if you've heard of him. You know, turns out he's much more important than I ever knew. But I was after him simply because he's made it quite a long while.
Know him well.
Now I'm not sure I've fully bought into his advice so far. I mean, some of it sounds like there are some magical gifts along the way that he's gotten in return for some things that he's done. But the best advice he's had so far is simply keep busy. I don't know whether that's just use the time you have or keep doing things and you'll end up with more time. But maybe I'm sure, and I'm not usually one for double entendre, but if getting busy is the way for you to pass that time, I think even after you're gone, supposing that does happen, then then the captain has something more to do with her time with the child.
I don't know if she would have had a child if I hadn't come into her life, even if she found another man. I've spoken in the past about raising a child and captaining a boat at the same time is, well, it's trying to stand on your head and walk across the water. A lot of things to juggle. But it might ease her troubles. Why would any man wish to know when they would die?
It ain't about whether you wish to know it. That part's done.
It is, but you'd think it would make you want to live life to the fullest every day, but part of me thinks, well, there's no bloody point, is there? So,
Only if there never was.
The last 6 months have been proof that there is point. Trying to bring joy to other people. No, I selfishly want that joy for myself. I've got a right to joy in my life, right? Or even with a full life to live.
I think it depends on how you define it.
Not irresponsible joy, not joy that harms others or leaves others, lacking, but I want to focus on me.
Well, I suppose there's nothing terribly wrong with that, but what then do you want out of the remaining time?
What I want for the remaining time, it's what I don't want. Think about this for 24 hours. I want to give you the love correspondence. Not you, well, yes you, but all of you. I want to focus on work. Focus on life. There are some people to speak to as and when we get to villages and towns, and letters to be delivered, people to pass notes to, and information to be gathered. But what's the point of it all, of me holding all the information? Well, in 6 months' time, I'll be gone, and somebody else will have to take the reins anyway. Why not hand them over now?
Well, I can't speak for the rest, but I would be happy to take that on for you as long as you're not going to mope in its absence. If that was something that was going to keep you busy, then I think you ought to do it.
No, I've allowed myself a day of moping. Be enough. I think I'm going to focus on my wife. Journey around us. It sounds morbid, but I want to catalogue it in my mind.
I've never had much interest in children myself. My relationship with my parents was mediocre at best. But, we lost a member of our party who was, she was a midwife. Cared a great deal about bringing folk into the world. Now, she won't be here to help with it, but I think if she were still here, she would encourage it very much.
There's a certain poetry to it, isn't there? Life coming into the world as I go out. I hate poetry. And he smiles.
Yeah, it has to rhyme, or it doesn't do much for me.
Yeah, he just sort of smiles, and it's more like he's not really saying he hates poetry. He's more saying he hates the irony of it.
Of course.
But with that, he smiles at you, and you can see like a weight has been lifted from his shoulders. And instead of taking you to the paperwork that he's just mentioned, he instead runs downstairs and sort of lifts Phoebe up off the ground and sort of swings her around a little bit and smiles at her. Come on, we're gonna dance. And he looks over to what's her name? Jessica, the tabaxi. Where's the tune? She pulls out some sea pipes and begins to sort of play a little bit of a jig, which I'm sure Alessia will get up and start dancing with some bells and the cook. And I'm really not sure if this is the right track or if this is going to play Jolene. Either the right track or it's going to play Jolene. So
Jolene.
it's neither actually.
Jolene.
I was really hoping I had the upbeat, happy track, but it's we'll leave it on this. In fact, no, you know what? We can go one better. We can go one better. Great. And as he sort of plays a track and the sea pipes and dances with his wife, correspondence will get to you. Yeah, he'll pass it over when he's ready and tell the party first. But I think on that note we'll end. And we'll come to MVPs. Rico.
So, there's a moment that had just happened, actually, where I don't know if it was Joe realized it or not, but he had rhymed poetry with for me.
When you said
So Navrak was just like, I hate poetry, and then Joe was like, it has to rhyme or it doesn't do anything for me. And it was just like, I was like, oh, that's actually pretty hilarious. But my real MVP goes to I have it written down. Hold on. A water genasi that can't swim or that gets seasick.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? I just thought that was hilarious.
Move my headset. Yeah, I like the irony of it. I'm not entirely sure she does get seasick. I think she just likes the time away from her grumpy husband.
Yeah, probably exactly.
Bruno.
I quite enjoyed like how each NPC had their own little quirk to it, and I like that both of the NPCs that they tried to interact with reacted really well to me. So that was fun. I enjoyed watching it. I also liked when Henrik tried to push me around with telekinesis.
Pull you around specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Joe.
I like the cold stew. I think what I like is not that I hate McPherson as a character, right? But I mean, in character, I'm enjoying having someone for Sebastian to constantly fuck with that I kind of think deserves it more than before.
Definitely, Chiavo's done nothing wrong. But screwing with McPherson is great. Josh.
So mine goes to hopefully McPherson getting fat and having like disadvantage on everything.
Yeah, that would help the party.
Yeah, but he's gonna get jacked. What are you talking about? This guy's
Yes, already.
he's doing like acrobatics after like 3 servings of stew.
Yeah.
And also the mystery of the whirlpool.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the pacing of today. I always enjoy the pacing of Beldania, you guys know that, but like, it's just so pleasant to be able to spend time focusing on the smaller things. Often when running a D&D session, you're trying to get to the next story point, you're trying to get to the next important thing, and there are lots of important things going on. But it's nice to focus on the smaller things. It's nice to focus on the guy who's missing his wife. It's nice to focus on the tales of the boat people. It's nice to leave a mystery completely unsolved in the whirlpool. Yeah, I'm really enjoying how well you guys pace with me. You know, my MVP for the session was Rico, sort of just weaving sail and trading boastful stories with Ren, because I just love that imagery and the fact that you approach the Green Dragon with an open mind. Obviously, as a player that makes sense, but as a character, it's really nice to see it done. Yeah, I had a great time. I hope you guys did too. But that is where we'll end. You guys would like to say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
We shall see you soon.